The whole population wasn't talking about it. Now the whole population is talking about it because of ad campaigns such as this. And then in San Diego, they took a different approach. They said, you know, instead of ad campaigns that say, this is bad, or shame on you, you as the reader of this advertisement knows better, they're employing collective action because researchers say that this has better, longer lasting effects. We together as a community know what we should be doing, and we're doing the right thing. And that's what has to happen with transit. In Columbia, Missouri, they're using fun, whimsical ads to remind people of the childlike thrills of walking and biking. And it's working in that college town. And then we have marketing to kids. This is Zozo. Zozo is a Henson-inspired puppet. And he walks the streets of New York, and he talks to kids about the benefits of walking and biking. And why is it important to market to kids? Because of brand loyalty. It's what McDonald's and Coca-Cola, and a long time ago, even R.J. Reynolds figured out. That if you snare brand loyalty at a young age, you have a customer for life. Transit agencies need to do the same thing. Get kids thinking about transit as a young age, and you'll have an advocate for life. I want to end with this word in Urban Dictionary. If the function of transit was just to move people from point A to point B, then maybe the form of the sidewalk, the bike, and the bus is sufficient. But what if the function of transit was to lure motorists out of their cars? What if it was to elicit a positive response, a reaction from people? Then what would the form of the sidewalk, the bike lane, and the bus take? Automobile manufacturers have it down pat. It's easy to motate in a car because they know what excites us. I think it's time that transit learns how to motate as well. We need to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Thank you. So I think we have a few minutes for questions. 5?
5 minutes, yeah.
And I can stick around longer. Do we have to leave the room by 1:30?
No.
Okay. Okay. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to entertain them in public or individually. Yes?
Taking the, I think it was the Davenport example, what was the cost to have those new vehicles put into place versus the old?
Relatively zero. One thing that most transit agencies don't figure out is rolling stock is almost free if you get the grant for it. So there are people, our Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, and that's what they do. They write grants. So of course they're on the payroll, but they're doing lots of things. But they wrote a grant for fun circulators. These weren't custom designed. Some communities, they are custom designed. Like in Chattanooga, they actually enticed an automobile manufacturer, a coach manufacturer, to design these coaches for them. But that was great because that actually supplied jobs. And not just low-paying jobs, but engineering jobs. And so there's ways to defray the costs on that. In Davenport, we wrote a grant, or the Quad City, we wrote a grant. We got it. We were lucky. So we got the rolling stock. Yes. There's labor costs as far as driving them, but a lot of it it's all part of the same transit agency. A lot of it's just shifting schedules. I will admit that it's limited service. You know, it only connects the downtowns of the Quad Cities, and it only operates on Thursday nights, Friday nights, and Saturday nights, where you have a lot of people on the streets in the downtown drinking, eating. They want to visit one city or another, but they don't necessarily want to drive, nor do we want them driving. And so we provided that. But in general, the transit operating costs were very, very negligible because we were able to get the rolling stock thanks to a DOT grant. Yes?
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
A lot of fun and a lot of art.
Yeah.
Places around the world. I would like to ask you, with your role, do you work with cities around the U.S. and really put together of what you just presented, because the reason I'm asking is that
Oh, sorry.
I file my tax and they charge me a lot of taxes, so I'm hoping that my tax dollar gonna go into
Yeah, you hope, right? Unfortunately, we don't have a direct say in how every dollar that we are taxed, how it's spent. But a lot of what I do is this right here. Sometimes I am hired on as a separate sub-consultant to talk about some of these issues like this. Mostly it's traveling to different communities and starting a conversation. It's like, this is whatever your transit system is, whatever your bike lanes look like, whatever your helmet policies are, and whether you have people on the sidewalks or not, this is what's happening in some communities. And maybe not all of them are right for your community, but some of them may be. And let's start the conversation here. And let's start thinking outside of the bureaucracy of, gosh, how am I going to fund this and how am I going to implement more buses, and more from the private sector and say, it is a business. It is a product. It is a service. What are we going to do to make people buy into our product and service as opposed to that product and service? And a lot of it really comes down to elected officials. And I don't think there's any here right now, but we're all fighting the same battle. But it's always the same issue. We have a limited pot of money. I'm not saying that these are necessarily cheap, but I'm also saying that if communities learned how to spend smarter instead of spending more, you can actually achieve a lot of these improvements. One more? Yes.
I think we're going to just
Oh.
have a few wrap-up conversations. We'll go back to questions if anybody needs to sneak out, but we want to make sure we do a few announcements first.
Oh, okay.
So, Darrin has agreed to stay, so please stay and ask questions. But I did want to let you know that we have 2 more Friday forums coming up. They are on the next 2 months, on the 4th Friday of the month. And our next event is Getting to School Downtown for students, teachers, and parents, best practices. So this is not just students, but if you're taking your child to daycare, to school, on your way to work, or your child's going to school. And it'll be a great Friday forum on March 25th, so please join us for that. We do have rack cards in the back, so grab a rack card. It'll have all of our upcoming Friday forums as well. Also, we have different committees. So we have a transit committee, a walk committee, and a bike committee. And we could use new members on those, additional members to those committees. So if you'd like to get a little more involved in Downtown on the Go, these committees only meet once per month or bi-monthly, so it's not a huge commitment, but we'd love to get your involvement on those committees and get you a little more involved in our programs. So thank you all for coming, and please help me thank Darrin for coming here.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you. Thank you for sitting. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Darrin, did you want to make an announcement for days for donation or Charmaine? Well, to this group. Sorry to put you on the spot.
So right now, we're doing a campaign between Snohomish, Pierce, and King County. It's called Days for Donations. And that means all of your trips, so whether you're van pulling, carpooling, riding bus, walking, biking, all of those, they can be logged at piercetrips.com. And it's not just your commute trips to work, it's all of your trips. And just make sure you have someone with you, or you're riding the bus or transit, things like that. So just make sure to log them. They're due by March 7th. And if us as a region reach 150,000 days not driven, $25,000 will be donated to United Way of Pierce County, Snohomish County, and Northwest Harvard. So really important to get your trips in by March 7th, and they're helping our community out this time. And then in April, we're doing another one, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to ride or log your trips at piercetrips.com.
Thanks for that.
Well, thank you all for coming. The people who need to get out of here at 1:30, we're ending our formal presentation, but please stick around and to ask questions. And either see if you do have interest in joining a committee, you could write that down on the sign-in form, or see any of the Downtown on the Go staff here. So just come by and let us know you have interest in doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.